Blaming DEI, that's what one of America's biggest companies is doing, as Target reported a slump in sales. The CEO pointing fingers in part at what he called the reaction to the updates we shared on belonging in January. Now, that statement is according to CNBC. What the CEO was referring to was translated much more bluntly by one analyst who said, quote, Target is struggling after strategic missteps on DEI. And that is because people across the country have been boycotting the retail giant since March. And this is the man leading the growing effort.
It is not because of tariffs. It is not because of the stock market. It is because of the power of black unification and the black dollar. $12 trillion in spending power is not anything that we should laugh at.
And I don't think anybody laughs at it. But $12 trillion in spending power, if that's what we have, I haven't done the math lately, but if that's what we have, how much would we have if we were merchants and business owners, instead of just looking at us as people who come in and spend our $12 trillion with them? Because that's what he's basically saying. Hey, we're consumers, and we're going to always be consumers. I mean, I would think that if a DEI policy affects you that bad to where you got a boycott in 2025, you just start telling your people to open up their own business, or you would try to get everybody together and pool our resources and maybe open up our own supermarkets or grocery stores up to and including malls that our money can be behind. And they are open to the public for whoever would like to come and spend their money there. But we would have policies and rules and hiring practices in place that we agree with. DEI isn't as big of a problem for black people as we pretend that it is. And our pastors who get out here and lead these crusades, there has to be more to fight for the black community than what Target and all these other retailers and merchants hiring practices are. I mean, it is what it is. They're going to hire how they want to hire and break rules even when rules are on the books. The best thing we could do is have a plan B so that we don't have to be discriminated against and force ourselves into people's workplaces and places of business, and they don't want us there. And we're forcing our money upon them. If we have that kind of money, they should be looking for us. We shouldn't be out there in the streets like that. And that kind of buying power should be able to translate over into business ownership and some economic wealth at some point. And we can't continue to follow our pastors who lead us down this path that we've been on before. And this is where we are as a result of it. And we want to go beyond this. And if we continue to have boycotts that benefit others, it's like they're calling us when there's a battle or a fight that needs to be had. We're compelling. We're great fighters and warriors when we get out there on those picket lines and those lines telling these stores that we're boycotting you. And if you don't change the color of your floor mats, we won't come in your, it ain't worth it. If they don't want to hire us on those levels, because what will happen is they will change their DEI policy and we still won't get those jobs. The jobs that you guys are out there DEI marching over, those aren't our jobs. Our jobs are cashiers, stock boys in the back, and people who clean up their stores, apparently. They don't want black people in their management. They don't want people being picked to be put in their management. They want to pick who they want in their management. They want an all-white male management. They should have empty stores as a result of that. There should be no law against it. But we should all be smart enough not to participate in that, not to beg them to open their doors up to us. We don't care. You don't want us working in your stores? We don't want to shop in your stores. Oh, we changed our policy. Oh, but we haven't changed. We decided it'd be better to get our own stores because outside of your hiring policies, there's some other things about your stores we don't like. It don't have enough black-made products in it. Maybe we can do that, have a store, and distribute our products out of that store, and then we won't have to feel like we're bound to Walmart and Target and Amazon and all these people, and that's the only way we can get our products out.
That's Pastor Jamal Bryant of Atlanta, and he joins me now. And Pastor Bryant, I'm glad to have you back. When we first spoke, it was when you were in the very early days of this. And now here we are, the Target CEO saying he's not satisfied with the recent performance. He attributes it in part to the, quote, updates they shared on belonging. What's your response to that?
That all of this is avoidable. Brian is fully aware that the African-American spending dollar has a whole lot of muscle, and his betrayal to our community has repercussions and consequences.
He acts like these retailers canceling, altering, whatever the hell they're doing or not doing with the DEI policy, because who cares, is going to alter the way we live and our quality of life and where we are on the economic chain. No, it isn't. We're still going to be in the same place we're in if Target changes their policy back and all those other retailers. What is this pastor trying to do? Is he trying to make sure we stay where we are? Or is he trying to help us to do something better than what we've been doing? We have been around long enough to know what works and what don't work. And when you start staging boycotts, we all know what boycotts do. It takes all of our money and puts it in a pile and then gives it back to them. Because eventually they're going to succumb and give in, and then we're going to go get back into Target lines and Walmart and whoever else is not practicing DEI policies that we don't benefit from. That's the part that I think our pastors need to get through their head, is that we're not the primary or the biggest benefactors of it, so we shouldn't be leading that charge.
As a consequence, the stock has plummeted, that valuation has gone down, and even his own salary has been slashed, all because he's been dishonorable and not integrous with the black community.
I wonder what city he's in. I like to know what his community, do he have it all sold up? Is there no homelessness? Is there some people in the community or in his church that he could be doing something for and helping instead of organizing boycotts to nowhere? Where's this boycott going to go? Let's say Target's stock plummets and to the point of where the stores declare bankruptcy and go out of business. Are we going to be going around saying, yeah, you better get a DEI policy we like or we'll put you out of business? Who gives a damn? We ain't in business. We need to get in business and not give a damn if Target goes in business, out of business, who they hire, who they fire, or any of that other kind of stuff. Because we would be too busy implementing our own policies, checking our own books, and hiring and firing our own employees. And not worrying about what Target and these people are going to do and not bragging about what big, bad consumers we are.
So how long do you intend to continue this?
Until something shifts. We've got staying power. We've got a model.
And when he says when something shifts, that means this is going to go on forever. Because no matter what policies, laws, rules they put on the books, you cannot make those people act any different than what they're going to act. Or there would be no rules and policies forcing them to hire a certain type of person. And then when they find out that the rules do favor us, if they ever did, they find other people who meet that criteria. And then they get a choice of which DEI they get to hire. And it's us last, as usual. We will be last hired and we will not benefit from these programs to the point of where it's going to change our status in this country. So why are our pastors trying to cement us in this place that we're in? Why would he not be leading us out of this and looking back on boycotts of the past and how far they got us and where they got us? On a bus where we could ride in the front but still give our money to the bus owner who is white. How does that benefit us? How does that benefit us? And even if we needed those buses to get to work during those times, what did we do when we boycotted? How did we get to work? We should have continued boycotting until we all got cars or owned up our own bus company or some other way to work around. If you have to go to the point of pulling your money back and they realize that because if they didn't miss your money, they'd never change their policy. So they feel, oh, we missed his money, we better change our policy, but they still don't like you. So you have to put up with bad service and unhappy ownership when you come into the establishment. They just want your money. If it's that clear and cut, then he should be encouraging us not just to boycott, but to break a relationship with them forever. Unless they go out of business and come back as a new company, that should be our call. And not because we're trying to harm them financially, but because we're trying to empower ourselves. Because we're trying to take our money and instead of frivolously shopping in these stores and throwing our money away, we can bring it back home and find someone in the United States, if they're not manufacturing, who's at least importing toilet paper, rubber gloves, cleaning products, all the things and household supplies that we need can be imported or manufactured by black people. And we need to figure it out. And we got to not let ourselves continue to be. He doesn't look like that old of a guy. I'm tripping off of his technique. And it just seems like deja vu.
The Montgomery bus boycott 70 years ago went 381 days. And our community is resolved and focused and intentional that we're not going to spend our dollars where we're not honored and where we're not appreciated.
Then we wouldn't be spending no damn money nowhere. Do you realize the gas stations and restaurants and clothing stores and everything else that we spend our money, and even in our own communities, the donut shops and fast food spots that have what? Basically, people who are newer into this country than we are owning them. And we are the big spending muscle that he's bragging about. It's nothing to brag about. Being outslicked and outsmart and bullied and tricked into the position that we're in ain't cool. And to continue us in that cycle by pulling back our dollars so they can see and we can feel a false sense of power and they can see how much money we've been bringing into them, and change those floor mats, get that DEI policy changed, and hire some women and some Asians and some Hispanics. You still don't have to hire those blacks just because they were the ones who brought this to everyone's attention. They're going to benefit the least. Is it by accident? How's it go? I don't know. But how do we keep ending up on the bottom and we continue to follow these black leaders that we have who are not leading us where we need to go, unfortunately? Who cares how much Target makes in a quarter or not? How much are we going to make in a quarter? How much growth are we going to have economically? Because this country is not trying to get stronger. This country is like they know they're falling to the bottom and they're just throwing things out the window right now at this point. Any country who plans on being a world power and the world power going into the future wouldn't be making the financial decisions that this country is making. And we're getting caught up in being patted on the back and looked at as super consumers of some sort. And it is nothing to be proud of. It is not. Everybody is a consumer. But if you can also produce something and some level of their supply chain, we have to find a place and get on it. And fight hard to stay on it and not allow them to take our place or to make the rules so that we don't qualify or fit in. It's time for us to go that route and not be out front like victims protesting and waving signs around so that somebody can get tired of looking at us and then say, all right, come on in, I'll take your money.
So other companies that have scaled back their DEI programs to varying degrees include Lowe's, McDonald's, Walmart, Amazon in some respects. So are you looking at expanding this beyond Target?
Oh, no, we're very clear. Over 17 companies have walked away from diversity, equity, and inclusion. But we decided with resolve and intentionality that we were going to do one at a time.
One at a time. And there's over 17 of them. And we still on Target for 3 months. This makes no sense. I have no idea. So why did we pick Target first? I mean, that's what I like to know. How did they get to be first? How come we didn't pick Walmart or McDonald's? I mean, over the years, look how many black people McDonald's has killed with their food. They might have been at the top of the list. And sometime the boycotts shouldn't be called boycotts. We need to evolve to something more permanent. A boycott can be healed. A boycott can be negotiated. Terms and conditions can change and we'll come back. We need to drop that boycott. Just shake the spot or whatever else you want to call it, but we need to get on permanently and come up with a plan that's an alternative to what we were doing that pissed us off so bad, and come up with a plan that's not only going to keep you away from going back to that business, but it's also going to empower you and your people. How hard is that? Everybody got to do a little part, and we can get on that supply chain, and we can have a part of that supply chain that is ours and that everybody knows is ours, and we control and run it and feed it and support it, and it will be successful. I just don't know why it's so difficult for our leaders and all of our black people in this country, especially as the years go by and the decades flow by, to see where we are and why we're here and what we could do a little differently to get a little more advancement, to get some economic power and resources underneath us. Figure out what area we want to grow in and find out what they're doing. If they're getting subsidized by the government, then we're going to get subsidized by the government. If their biggest and best universities are getting billions and billions of dollars for just one department, then our HBCUs deserve that exact same thing so that we can come up with some breakthrough research. We're capable of it as well, and it's only right. But if you have a pastor who's speaking to you like you're just a piece of consumer for whoever in the world got something for you to buy, we're more than that. We are way more than that. And we have to stand up and take our correct place in this country, because obviously they're not going to just carve out a void and just tell us to get into it. That's not going to happen.
Target is the first, it is not the last. And another company is going to be coming on the radar in the next couple of weeks.
In the next couple of weeks, there'll be another one. All right. So I want to ask you one thing, though, when you talk about the power of the black dollar, and it is just the flip side, right? That you're showing that power when it comes to Target, but there are black entrepreneurs who are also selling at Target who are negatively impacted by this as well.
See, that's how they split hairs. Although you're out there boycotting, speaking on Target's behalf, there are black retailers who sell out of Target. Well, how are you going to deal with that? And my answer to that is they should be boycotting Target too, because they're black. And if the DEI policy ain't working for you, it ain't working for them either. And if Target's policy causes the consumers to stop going, then it should cause the merchants to stop going there too. The black merchants, they got to get their shit out of there too, and not try to be halfway. I got my website platform, you can get my stuff here, but it's also in Target too. Nah. Get out of Target too, and get those stores going where our products are being sold out of them in abundance. So you don't have a problem finding black products. You can find white products and Asian products and other products in there as well. But if you want black products, we have to have a retailer who has an abundance of it. Because there are a lot of black people selling stuff all over the internet, and some of it is reached to the national level. Put it in a store, put it on a shelf, and get it out there just like everyone else's products. And where the government is subsidized for other folks, we need that same kind of subsidizing for us. Because it doesn't look like they take us serious as business owners because of our small numbers in that department and because of the resistance that we've been met with. But it's time for us to step up and take our right place in this country.
A new report from the Wall Street Journal, they went through sales of Play Pits, which is black owned. They said sales at Target of that product have fallen about 30% since April. Beautiful Curly Me also attributing reduced sales to your boycott. So what do you say to those business owners, right, who are members of the communities that you are, conducting this boycott on behalf of?
Well, if they're a part of the community, then they got to get their ass out of Target too. You don't get a special pass because you own a business as opposed to a consumer. No, We are all still one. We're all still together. You don't separate us by merchants as opposed to the consumers. Well, what about the blacks who are merchants? The ones who are consumers, I understand they're out there complaining until they change, the DEI policy. But what about the ones who are relying on, well, you can't have it both ways. So I say we all get on the same page and all walk. That's the proper answer. But that ain't the answer that I don't think we're going to get here.
No, we're so mindful of them. That's why we partnered with the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce. Over 250,000 people have signed up at targetfest.org. And when they do so, we send them a digital directory of over 150,000 black businesses across the country. We want to support the.
And all Target has to do is change their DEI policy, and we stop handing out that information. We stop pushing in that direction. But that's not a hard push. That's not a real tangible way to open some businesses up, to get some things cracking for black people, by black people. And then it'll make more sense to us. Because right now we see it everywhere else. You can go in a grocery store and it could be owned by a Hispanic family or a Hispanic group, Asian group. People like to own the stuff they like, their foods, their books. There are things that go in their mind and their stomach. They want to have some control over it. And you cannot be 100% consumer based. That's all you do. That's all your leaders even look at you as. I got 37 million consumers behind me. And if you don't respect me, I'll tell them to go buy. You're going to buy. It's just where you buy and how much you buy. And how much you contribute into that circle as far as a contributor, not just a person who takes out and spends our money. Always got to wait on payday so we can go give it back to them instead of having different things to do with our money and more of it. That's all.
Those businesses, we're just not going to do it at Target. And so we'll do it directly through them and through their online platforms. Additionally, over Resurrection Weekend, 5 mega churches transformed their space into mega malls, a bullseye black markets. So 100 vendors would go into those respective cities and support. We want to see them thrive, and we want.
You ain't going to put Target out of business doing no stuff like that. And it is a great thing for us to have open air markets and flea markets and secondhand garage sales where we recycle our products, recycle our dollars, and begin to do business with each other so that we know what it feels like. If we're 2, 3, 4 black businesses are all supporting each other, and that's the kind of stuff that we haven't seen and in our lifetimes, and that we need to see so that it can duplicate itself and go on and on and on and on, and not just be something that we continue to talk about while our leaders are leading us away from that kind of realism. We realistically won't see that if all we do is boycott every time somebody pisses us off. And then when they unpissed us off, we go right back. And probably because we missed them, spend more than we would have.
Want to see them soar, and we're going to put our muscle and our money behind them.
All right. Well, Pastor Bryant, I appreciate your time and thank you very much.
Yeah, that's it. He wants to boycott. What we were doing 70 years ago, he wants to try that now in 2025. Good luck. And anybody who has that mentality gone out there and you boycott to your little heart's content, because it's a waste of your time. There's so much more we could be doing with ourselves. And we need to realize that they can't just pick fights with us over changing a policy here and there when the entire system is horrible for black people. And if anybody is out there listening, and if you're not black and you think it's pretty good, and you're just going to bed every night praying to be black so you can have the wonderful things in America that we have, because this country is not a gold mine for black people. We ain't ever flourishing and enjoying everything, And even when we get black leaders, we have to really, really be careful and be guarded, because they, in some cases, are already bought and paid for by the people who we know are oppressing us. But if you get somebody in a position of authority in there and you throw them a couple of dollars, you got the congregation heading in whichever direction the wind blows, and not for very much. I don't care how long we boycott Target, and I don't care how many of their policies they change. It's not going to help us. We got to help us. And the lady here on CNN, it was that Erin Burnett, she was saying something about at first the boycotts taking place in America, and then later into the story, the black dollar, because it's a compelling case. It's a compelling face to see a black man on TV and he's talking about policies that are harming us. It just naturally makes you, he ain't lying, but he is. Because we're not the ones who are benefiting from that, so we shouldn't be fighting for it. Let's quit fighting for things that don't benefit us that well. If it comes back, it comes back. If it don't, it don't. It ain't going to benefit us. It ain't going to hurt us that bad. But also, let it inspire us to open another avenue, another door, another window, another crack. Try something else. Keep trying. And not be stuck in the past. Jesus. I mean, if they hadn't assassinated Martin Luther King, I doubt if he'd go down the same road again. He probably tried different stuff. I mean, why wouldn't you? You see where that got us. So, not to be unappreciative. And I wish I knew where his church was. I'd probably go. But I really don't appreciate the big hoopla about the boycotting, because every time I hear that, we get the blame. We get the negative stigma that comes with that kind of stuff when you hear about it in the negative ways. But then when it's successful, everybody else just rolls in the spoils. And I think that's pretty terrible. Tell me what you think. Like, comment, share, and please subscribe. And we'll see you on the next Black Popcorn.